All right. It says we are live. I know if you can see the stuff above me. Uh, I forget that YouTube makes you turn it. I just went over and did a live over on the Facebook page, and I didn't have to do the turny thing. So in this one, apparently you have to do the turny thing. So we'll see how this goes. So this is just going to be a surprise, which I explained this. I keep forgetting. I'm on a second live. If you see me looking over in this direction, is because my stream is being cast to my TV. So that way I don't have to get all up into the phone to look and see the comments. So it's over here, so it's bigger for my eyeballs to read it. So if you guys jump in and, if you're watching, even if you don't have any questions or anything, just say hi. We'll give shout outs the way that I always give shout outs. So uh, let me start off so that way we can see if anybody does join. I know I'm really bad. I get this every single time that I do a surprise live. Why didn't you give it any notice? I want to watch. I always have to watch the replay. Well, it wouldn't be a surprise, but it's a surprise to me too because I never know when I'm going to get the 45 minutes or an hour of free time alone in the house without my 4-year-old running around, which um, I'm sitting right next to all of his playthings, so it's nice to have a little bit of time without a whole bunch of this beeping and other things going off. So first, let me do a couple of things, and then we'll jump into what's going on. If you guys pop in, I will pause and answer any questions or anything that you guys have. Otherwise, I'll run through this and we'll go from there. Half of it is, I apologize, I didn't get to make a video yesterday. I've been trying to do a daily video. Yesterday was really, really brutal. So you have to forgive me for skipping a day. I really tried to at least make something just 5 minutes, but that's why I did release a video yesterday that I usually have at least a couple videos kind of saved for such an occasion. But there's a bunch going on personally and all that stuff. Everything's fine. Just mad dash trying to get things done, and by the time I did, it was already getting kind of late. Just taking a kind of a mental break from the internet, which I very much encourage all of you to do at least once in a while. So, and I get it. A few people they're like, "Oh, you should do it more often." Well, it's kind of hard when I'm a content creator because if I create content, I need access to the internet. Um, so a couple of things. I do have a video tomorrow that you should be able to go on to here and look. It should be set up as Premiere. It should be dropping noonish time, I believe. And it is going to be the teaser video for my Christmas giveaway. Now, when I say teaser, no, it is not going to be a 30-second clip. What it is it's actually going to be, and it's fairly decent length. It is the showcasing of the package that you will get, and I go through each and every item currently in the package. Now, I say currently because I plan on probably adding a few more things between now and the time that I give it away. If it's something, very big or major or whatever, I'll definitely update you. It'll probably end up being a couple of small things. So whoever wins may even get some surprises that other people don't know about. So we will see how that goes. Now, will I also say tease because I had the full intentions of releasing the entire video, but right when I got to the end, I completely went a different direction because I have been battling in my head on not only when to give it away, but how to give it away and all that. So uh, you're gonna have to watch the video so you can at least see what the prize is. But I will make an announcement probably, hopefully within the next week or two. Um, and that way you can see not only how to win, but when you can win, when the prize will actually be going. I really want to give it away during Christmas time, so more than likely we will do probably a week or two will be when I give out all the details, and then probably somewhere in the first week of December we'll actually do the giveaway, and then that gives me time to get to the post office so I can make sure the winner gets it in time for Christmas. And then I want to say thank you for all the feedback that I got on my ammo and pew pew reviews. Um, I have not really got back any negative feedback that I can think of. But I put out what 2 or 3 of them now, and then the amount of views and things, it's really odd. I never thought about putting anything like that out. I've kind of hinted at it a little bit and didn't get the same feedback that I've got out of these last few. So apparently you guys really like that, and if you do, I appreciate it. Now I will give you a tease of a video that will probably be coming out in a couple of days. Not exactly sure when, but I had as a tease for it, I had a woman email me, and she said, "Hey, I watched your ammo and pew pew reviews," and she said, "What about us ladies?" And I thought about it for a second. And went, "Yeah, you know what? What about you ladies? I got you." So this one will be a special ladies edition pew pew review. So if you want to see what I mean, um, you'll have to wait and check out the video when it drops. It might be a good reviewish type thing that if you are a lady looking for your first or additional firearm, I go through and break out all the specs and different things on it. If you are somebody that is, with Christmas coming up, shopping for, um, your wife, your fiance, your girlfriend, your mom, your sister, your aunt, your cousin, whatever. It's very informative. It's one of those ones that I give you out the specs, tell you my opinion on it, and then you can decide for yourself if it's something that you guys might want. So, um, but I did not get to do a video yesterday. So what I'll do in this live is I will actually go through and do a live Israeli war update. So we will see. I know I've seen some people jump in and jump off, and that's very, very common. So, again, if you guys do jump in, go ahead and say hi, so that way I can see that you're here. I'll give you a shout out and all that fun stuff as I knock things over. So, without further ado, I'm going to run down through this list. We'll see if anybody jumps in. If you do, I'll stop and we'll do a Q&A. But first thing, it looks like there is a potential. Well, I won't say potential. There definitely is a security situation. We don't quite know how big it is. It's in the airport in the Hamburg, Germany. From the details that seem to match, there's a lot of details and a lot of rumors, a lot of different things that are kind of popping out about this. But what it looks like is there is, they all agree that it is a man, but somehow gained access with some sort of firearm through security. Now, this is where it gets a little shady. Some say that he ran his car through and he's sitting in his car. Some people say he ran his car through and he's in the airport. Some didn't even say anything about the car, that he's just in the airport. And there's something about multiple fires. One fire, he's got hostages. He doesn't have hostages. All I know is that there is definitely something going on because there is a huge presence of just different emergency vehicle that were there, and I believe that there's even like a helicopter too. I don't know if they brought out their like anti terrorist squad or their version of um, their special police or whatnot to kind of handle that kind of situations. But there's definitely something going on. So if I hear anything out about that that turns out to be really major or whatnot, um, I'll let you know. I'll update you on that situation. Um, which, by the way, I don't have it in the report, but it just came to my mind. Apparently, there was some suicide um, people that got into some sort of airport over in Pakistan. I don't know if it was a military or a military slash commercial, kind of like a joint base, but they went over to, and what the quote was they went over to airplanes that were by the runway and set off suicide bombs and took out like a tanker and a couple of other planes, but they all said that they were um, non-in-service planes, which doesn't make any sense. That whole story seems a little odd. So I've been trying to look into that one, and I think that's one of the reasons why I didn't put it into this one. Next is the Secretary of State, Mr. Anthony Blinken, after all of his meetings with his Arab counterparts, was quoted saying, quote, "We all recognize that we cannot return to the status quo," end quote. So I've been saying this for quite a while in the past couple of videos. It seems like things have gone a little too far. It looks like, there's always been these border skirmishes. There's always been this lobbing back and forth. There's the 2-day war, the 3-day war, this, that, some chest puffing and some chest beating and some other things, but it all settles down and goes quiet for a few months, a year, or whatever, and then it flares back up. This time seems very, very different. So yeah, I think his exact line. If you go back a few videos ago, probably a week or so, we've been saying the status quo is now completely changed. There's no going back. So moving on, Iran has issued a NOTAM, which is a notice to airmen, or notice to air mission now is what it is, but it's always been notice to airmen, warning for tomorrow, November 5th, and the day after, November 6th, due to what it says in the box, launch of missiles. That's extremely interesting on, it shouldn't be an attack because you're not going to put up a NOTAM launch box that is going to be, because we're sending for attack, because it's just, you wouldn't do that. So this is some sort of missile testing. So I don't know if this is a flexing a muscle. I don't know if they got their hands on something and they would just want to make sure all the systems work. I don't know if this maybe is a uh, look over here kind of distraction or diversion or what it is, but just a data point, something to keep your eye on. Now, the Iranian group, they're Iranian, backed militias or whatever you want to call them, has been putting up flyers to recruit for suicide bombers, and the flyers at the bottom says, quote, "It's time for a jihad." Now, the people that have been actually putting up pictures on social media of these um, are sharing stories about people are taking these flyers and going to some like really holy places before they go report and things like that. So um, now this isn't a big thing. They've done this countless times before. It's kind of a signature thing. So it should be of no surprise. Uh, but there it is. It's out there. So next, the State Department again puts out a notice for all U.S. citizens to leave Lebanon now while commercial flights are still available. Now, I don't know why they keep putting this out. You would think after one or two times, you would just kind of give it, hey, it's been a fair warning that, hey, well, we told you. Um, but they really seem to be pushing it. Plus, there's a lot of people that's been pulling all their people out of their embassies and telling their people to leave. So it kind of looks like if you had to put money down, place a bet or whatever, that the next front is going to be Israel's north, which will be the Lebanon. Now, you do have down to the south, Yemen has really entered, and then now you've got to watch over in what was it, Algeria, that the parliament voted to give presidential wartime powers that he can declare war on Israel. So that would open up a kind of western-ish front, which would really make things interesting because if you look at the maps, Iran's kind of in it by proxy. So Iran would control the Red Sea-ish area, um, and then the Mediterranean. If Algeria jumped in, they would be able to have some control over that area, and all in that area is a lot of U.S. and NATO Marine war vessels. So it's going to be interesting to see how all this goes. Now, again, as we said, the status quo has been completely changed. We're not going back. So even if things do, over a course of however long, kind of go down and things cool down, it cannot go back to the same. So it's going to be interesting to see what the new normal turns out to be if that's the case. I don't think that's the case. Um, there's too much going on. There's too much, um, just really odd things. Once you kind of get into prepping for a little while, you get a little bit of time under your belt. So I'm talking 18 months, 2 years. You start realizing that there's not really that many coincidences, if any coincidences at all. So, with all the different things of the Marine Ball being canceled, the 800 Army recruiters, suddenly called into action, um, the biggest warships of, since World War II, with all the different things going on, uh, it's all pointing in one direction. Now, is it guaranteed? No, it's definitely not guaranteed, but it is going that way. And the way that I'm kind of, I don't want to say predicting because I don't want to spread fear or panic. So to say it, I guess, would be I believe this will snowball. So right now you're in that stage to where you're seeing it come down. You're seeing the little snowflakes. You're seeing it build up and all that. So whatever this kind of black swan event. Now the black swan event could have already happened, or it could be coming up to happen. But something either has happened or will happen, and we'll get the ball rolling. And once it gets to a certain size, there's no stopping it. It's just going to go. Now, I know a lot of you will argue that that event has already happened, where we're in the snowball rolling stage. Some of you will probably say no, we're still in the snow's gathering stage, and I've got a few people that say it's not snowing at all. So sorry for the really bad analogy, but um, I'm in that. There's a good chance the event has already happened. If not, it's going to come up very, very soon. And once that ball gets rolling, there is a bunch of things that will happen very quickly, very rapidly. And if you are not in some sense of the way prepared, it'll be total chaos. And you're going to have so many people being reactionary and trying to deal with all the different situations, because I think it'll all cascade to where it's not going to be just one event. I don't think that we're going to have just let's say a financial collapse, which you can name anything you want, whether it's an EMP, a financial collapse, war, whatever it is. It's a really bad event by itself. But I really think, and I'm hoping again, we hope for the best and prepare for the worst. So if things pan out then it will all kind of be chained together. So whatever that event is, will start. So let's say that it is, a bank run. Something happens, everybody freaks out. Now, kind of like what happened on Friday, the automatic clearinghouse. People didn't get paychecks. That was extremely frightening for a lot of people. There's a lot of panic, and it's still not even that fixed. It's not 100% there, and so and rightfully so. If if you wake up and your paycheck's not there, then it is very concerning. Um, but even if it's limited like that, you can have a lot of people that go, "Well, I got paid, but I don't want to be in that same group because what happens if while they're fixing it, something happens to the banking system, like you know they fix it on their end, which does something on this other end, so they start pulling their money out. Well, they start pulling their money, and the other people get wind, and they start pulling their money, and all of a sudden you have a bank run, and then you start having banks collapse, and then you start having this, financial shift and financial collapse that causes more chaos and panic, and then you can start getting things like civil unrest, and then you could have it'll just go from there. Whatever happens, I think it will be within 7, 10, maybe 14 days before it goes from 1, 2, 3% all the way up to that close to 100%. It'll just once it gets going, it's just going to rapidly flow. Again, hope I'm wrong. But enough of the tangent. Let's switch back. Um, so the Hezbollah Secretary General is scheduled to give another speech on November 11th. Now, I put out the warning because it was extremely important to be aware of that. Now, I also put out the video on Thursday saying that the United States government was scrambling to uh, prepare and get things set up for the rumors of an Iranian backed cyber attack. So, was the ACH a cyber attack? We probably will never know. It very well could be because it just so happened to be the day of a rumored cyber attack, and it happened on a Friday of all days, the day that people get paid. If this would have happened on a Monday or a Tuesday afternoon, I would say that most people really wouldn't have cared. Oh, well, they got a couple days. They'll get it fixed by the time I get my paycheck. So, um, we'll see how all that goes. Man, I've been on here for over 20 minutes. All right, let me flip through, which I think there's what, two, three of you. So, whoever's watching, hello, thank you. Don't be afraid to say hi in the comments. And if you have questions or whatnot, drop it down there. I'll take a pause and I will answer whatever questions or anything that you guys may have. I hope I can see comments. I think I can. I'm really bad at live. So if you're talking to me and I can't see, I apologize. Um, let's see. And real quick, I know, sorry, tangent. That last speech, I think that there's multiple speeches planned. And I think, and ultimately, there is a speech where they will officially declare that they are part of it. But I think what they did is they have multiple speeches prepared, and depending on the run up, on where they're at, depends on which speech they give. Now, even if he comes out and he says basically, in our eyes, absolutely nothing, it's a rally cry for anybody that supports him and his causes. So you have to keep in mind that when some of these people are reporting on this and they go, well, all he basically did was say, there's war going on. Don't you, do this, or you're going to force our hand and we're going to have to get involved. And yeah, we've been doing a little border, stuff and all. And there's a bunch of people who said he didn't say anything. It's like a big waste of time. And I'm like, no. Did you not see the amount of people that were out there? I mean, even Blinken postponed his speech so that way he could watch this guy speak. That's how important this was. So even if he technically didn't give out any, real big, huge information or any bombshell, statement or whatnot. It was that important of a moment of what could have been. And we don't know. It's one of the ones that we're going to have to wait for years and look back on to see, was this a distractionary moment? Was this a test? Is this just a rally cry? Is this, whatever it is? I can't even prove he was live. I don't know. It could have been pre-recorded again, and I don't even know where he would have done that, because you think this guy would have a giant target on his head, and I don't know. And they are a group of people that do believe in being a martyr, but I don't know if this was pre-recorded. I don't know if this is just heavily fortified wherever they made the speech. I don't even know that they could have done it out, right by the Russian controlled airspace. Going, hey, if you're dumb enough to attack us right by Russian military, then they will have to get involved, and then so we'll see how all that. Which, am I still alive? I know I've said some things that probably have pushed some of the algorithmic buttons, so it looks like I'm still alive. All right, so what else do we got? So the reports of gunfire outside the presidential residence in Guinea, which comes out to be rumor of a possible coup attempt. Now, something did happen. There's definite proof of that. What it is, I'm not entirely sure. You got to remember that it is Guinea, so it's not like this is downtown London or Melbourne, Australia, or something like that, to where there's a bunch of people with brand new iPhones, recording and uploading social media. So this might take a day or two for news and word to get out what actually happened. So we will definitely, keep an eye out on that. All right. So what else do we got? Okay. So again, now Hezbollah has been doing this a lot. So what they've been doing is they've been putting up these little kind of like uh, teaser picture, kind of whatever, I don't know what you want to call them. But they basically put another one up on their social media, and this one showcases the bottom of a U.S. fighter jet flying with missiles, already fired and about to hit it. And then below it, it says, all possibilities on our Lebanese front are open and all options are on the table. Now, again, we've said this over and over and over, and I will say it every single time, and I will hammer this home. All of it is just words until there's an action put behind it. So all this is it's just, this is the same exact thing as what you would find on some poster board at a sports event or a wrestling match or something like that. This is just a, hey, we're going to kick your butt, or, whatever. That's all this is in my eyes. They're putting it out there, and it's basically their version of clickbait. They want to put it out there so that way, people will share it, people will talk about it, and all that other stuff. And I know you're going to go, well, you're doing the same thing. I am, but in a different sense. What I'm saying is, when they put these out, this gets the attention. This gets a rally cry. This is basically potential warnings. Now, if you go back and you look at them, this is the first time that they put out a fighter jet. Before, it was I can't remember. It's probably back in my notes. The nuclear facility in Israel. They put out one on the aircraft carrier that's out there. And all it is it's actual specific threats. And so it's ones that is data points. So let's see. One last one is there's an Iranian backed faction has gone on to uh, X or Twitter and posted next week next week a new phase will begin. I'm closing this, so if you stuck with me this long, thank you. So it's interesting because when you're talking about a conflict or war in this manner, that usually you are outfitted for what it is. So that is why you in the military, which I've never been in the military, I've only read and studied and watched some things. So I'm by no means saying that I'm the master, guy behind military. But you have different units, and that's why we have different branches of the military. You have your Air Force because they fly. You have your Navy because it's water. You have your Army for your ground and infantry, and then you have your Marines, which is more of the kind of the special ops sort of things. And so you have all these different kind of branches, but inside of there, you also have different ones. So you have a mountain division, you have a cold weather division, you have, the different things like that. And so when you have these kinds of battles, you have to pick what you're doing. There's a different strategy and different people and different supplies and different everything depending on where you're going, how long you're going to be there, and who you're up against. So, and then if I have people that come at me for this, by all means, please tell me if I'm wrong because this is all just opinionated. So, uh, just a disclaimer on that. So, for us, if you look at all the times we have been in conflict, and I'm speaking US, we have gone against basically insurgency. Now, we, and hopefully people don't get too mad at this, we don't do really well against insurgencies per se. We have a lot of ability and a lot of technology, but in all honesty, in my opinion, we'll see what responses I get from this. We are fifth generation, kind of headed to sixth generation, to where the over and over, especially here recently, it's kind of been proven that these really low tech things seem to be a really big match for our really high tech things. Now I know you can go down a rabbit hole about different things, but if you look at the Chinese balloon, you know, it's one of those ones of how in the world could that thing even get anywhere remotely close when we have the most, arguably the most uh, sophisticated high tech surveillance and all that? Because if you're saying that our technology and everything has that ability and we didn't see it, then that means that there's a failure. Otherwise, you're going to have to make the note that we allowed it, and both of them are equally as scary. Now, next, you got to look at the ability to adapt. So when we watched on October 7th, these hang gliding kind of paratroopers come in, um, it's one of those ones of like, it stirred up a big kind of conversation debate. When you prepare for incoming rockets and incoming fighter jets and things like that, you build your device to seek out that and to put up a defense against that. But when they figure out how that they can basically get from point A to point B through the air, and the defense can't pick it up because it's technically not, what it's built or designed for, then that's where these low tech come from. Um, and that gets into your all the different uses of tunnels and the way that you see a lot of these insurgencies kind of famously in the meme sort of world where we go in with Bradleys and Abrams, and they go in with Toyota Tundras. So it's one of those ones that I don't know if we almost need to have a unit that specializes in that really low tech, sort of fighting style. we almost are put up our defenses in that near peer sort of way. So when you're talking about the big boys of, a Russia, a China, places like that have really sophisticated weaponry, that's what that's a really big threat, because you're talking about extremely large, explosives, things that can do massive amounts of damage, a huge number of them, precision. That's what you want to stop. And it kind of goes back to from October 7th to now. So we're almost getting into 30 days of this. There is hits taking place. Now, I know that there's going to be the people that go in and debate it and say, well, yes, the Iron Dome and all the other things that they have there is not going to be 100% effective. And I agree, it can't. It's just you can only put a defense system basically by the most important things. Now, I know it's arguably your citizens are your most important thing, but apparently government buildings and different other things like that are more important. So keep that in mind, just as a little feather in your cap, or poke a pin in that uh, that government building in just about most parts of the world is more important than you in the government's eyes. One of your reasons why you should prep. So we'll go down to that rabbit hole differently. That'll be a different video. But um, going back to this one, you have all the kind of low tech things, or I want to say things, low tech groups of people, factions, and organizations and whatnot. All these different types of missiles keep coming in, and a lot of them are being successfully shot down, either by us or Saudi or all the other ones. Um, and so it almost comes to me, and this will be my final thought, because I hadn't realized we're coming on to like 40 minutes. Um, so whoever watches this whole thing, I almost need to like really give out a huge thank you for allowing me the opportunity to rant and rave and do all this for 40 minutes. So if you made it all the way through, awesome. Thank you. Drop a comment down and say, hey, I watched the whole thing. I really want to see if somebody actually watches the whole thing. And actually, you know what? Real quick, and then I'll finish on this. I'll finish my thought and we'll finish the video. The first person that comments down below that says, I watched the entire video, I will send the very first person that sends that comment a free Rural Report patch. So whoever does it, you made it this far, there you go. We'll see who does. Okay, so real quick, getting back onto it. So when you get into this type of lower end missile things, they're sending over from all of these different countries all these different types of like low end and arguably low medium end missiles. And it's almost like they're testing it, because a lot of the ones that they are getting hits on are outposts and surveillance posts and radar equipment, cameras, different sensors, and things like that. So it's kind of like it's also a diversionary, like, hey, we're going to send 2 or 3 over here. And as a missile defense system works, they quickly launch 1 or 2 over here and take out, a tower or something like that. But it seems like they send like 4 or 5 over and they watch and see what happens. And, if they all get popped real quick, it's like they're taking notes on all this. And so, it might be a few hours, it might be a day. And then all of a sudden it's like a barrage of, 2 or 3 of this kind goes and they see what happens. And then they'll mix, they'll take 2 of this and 2 of this and launch them out and see what happens. And they kind of are taking notes on which ones, are being effective, which ones actually are getting through, how many they got to send to get through, from which angle do they got to do, what part of the city, how long it takes to reload. I mean, they are taking notes from every different direction, and it's one of those ones, and I'm not picking a side at all. From an outside neutral perspective, when you are Israel and you have multiple unofficial fronts that you have to not only defend, react, but to also have a ground force go in because they have circled Gaza City, they have cut Gaza in half, they've got a north flank going, and it looks like they're trying to basically squeeze that north part and basically clean it out. Um, that's extremely difficult. And talking to some people, I mean, I've got people that, friends and whatnot that are military. I got friends that are, ex special forces and different things. And a lot of them tell me one of the absolute kind of worst conditions is that door to door sweep. It's just, it's time consuming. And every doorway you go in, you have to be 100% right because your team of, 4, 5, 6, 7, whatever it is, you've got to go through door number one. You've got to be 100% right. Otherwise, you're not leaving that doorway. And then you've got to go in that, up to that main door. You got to kick it in. Then you got to go doorway to doorway to doorway, making sure each and every room. And if you get that whole thing, he goes, it's not even like you exhale that relief because in about 2 minutes you're doing all of it all over again, and all it takes is one person behind one doorway, and you've got a really bad day. So I feel for anybody involved in that door to door urban environment sort of thing. So hopefully things find a way to have peace. I don't think it's possible. I think we are hours, days, weeks, maybe a few months, whatever, um, before things just spiral and escalate and just all out. So we will see. As far as by the end of the year, I think there's a lot of surprises that we're being set up for. Again, another rabbit hole we'll have to venture down later. But as far as a global conflict draft, all that big scary stuff happening by December 31st, I don't think is overly likely. I think once you hit January, from January to November, each day that will increase and tick up. So, but I've rambled, I've raved, I've done all that for 43 minutes. So again, if you made it this far, congratulations. Thank you. Drop that comment. I will send you out a Rural Report patch. I don't have one with me because I wasn't planning on giving anything out. But you guys know what they look like. I've shared it before. So we'll see. We'll see who actually does it. I'm really curious. I really want to give it away. So with that, I'm gonna wrap it up. Thanks, guys, for did pop in for a little bit. I know I'll get better on announcing when I do lives. That way, I can do Q's and A's and all that fun stuff with you guys. I really enjoy conversating and getting to know you guys and just going back and forth. But we'll leave it at that. So, guys, more information to come. Please remain united because we're all prepping in this together.